Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Prime News series of interviews with top business and technology experts. I'm Dana Kohut, and today I'm delighted to welcome Alex Geuken, who is co-founder at Xensam, a company that builds robust solutions for software asset management. Alex, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. It's a great pleasure to welcome you.
Well, thank you, Dana. It's a pleasure being on your interview.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion. Alex, I've been following your company recently. I saw great news that there are some great updates about Xensam. Maybe you could, but before we jump into that discussion, I believe for our listeners and our viewers, it would be really interesting to hear your story. Like, what is your background and what have led you to the decision to start the company?
Yeah, sure. So I have a long background within sports. I'm born and raised in Sweden, Stockholm. So I played ice hockey almost my entire life. So I have a very long history of playing both soccer and ice hockey. So I like to compete a lot. And then I started working in the IT industry somewhere around 2005 to 2006. And I was asked to join Xensam in a very, very early stage and found the opportunity was really, really great. I saw the market was really open for a new SAM tool. And I was kind of excited. I've been working as a licensing advisory and license manager for a long time, and I saw that there was a kind of a gap. So when that opportunity arose, I was really excited to join to help build the company. I work with for three different partners, the biggest two global ones, Inside and Software One, and the biggest local one, Atea, and selling the competitive solutions, seeing that it was not purely that happy with the solutions, and the kind of opportunity was there. And I also working for one of the largest software vendor, SAP, in the world, and felt that I would like to be part of that kind of journey, starting an own company. The big corporate thing was not really my cup of tea, so I wanted something more fast running company, smaller, more agile, more customer friendly, and that what was something that I would like to build. So I'm really grateful that I got that kind of opportunity, getting on board at such an early stage. Yeah, the years has been amazing. It's been a lot of hard work, of course, but the development, both from a product wise, but also sales and how we've been embraced on the market, has been truly amazing. And I think we're still having the best years to come. So a really exciting time for us.
Yeah, I definitely believe that you have lots of great years. So recent funding, right? You have managed to
Yeah.
secure 4 million US dollars in fundings. Tell us more. How do you plan to use the resources to further develop your tech stack?
Yeah, so there's many pieces that comes into this one. One is, of course, growing it from a sales perspective, hiring new people in new markets, but also growing the tech stack. We're investing heavily on AI right now. So we've hired our developers with a great background from AI that's doing some really, really interesting development on our solution. I think that's going to really change the next coming years, how SAM tools are able to help companies both view their data, but also get even more value from the software asset management solutions that we are providing them with. So that's really, really interesting. So we are focusing on expanding the organization basically on every front. We are adding, of course, more tech on the tech side with developers, adding the existing teams, branching out, adding new functions to the technical team. We're doubling up on support. We take a lot of pride in having the best support of all SAM tools, and we're going to continue that, where we've now increased the support with the double amount of people, also covering all different time zones. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you'll get all the great support. And then expanding on sales and marketing. I think we've had the best technical solution for quite some time, but we're still kind of unknown and unheard of. So now it's time more to shift that, that people can enjoy our great solutions.
That's very interesting. You know what, like what just crossed my mind, that many people might not specifically be familiar with your solution. So can you maybe tell us, for those who are not familiar with this kind of tools, what type of problems you are solving to organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So software asset management, software is one of the biggest costs for almost all companies across the world right now. It's something that's increasing. Um, there's two types of challenges that we saw. One is that you're overspending on software. So we have our big vendors like Microsoft, Adobe, SAP, IBM, Oracle. There's a huge bill that comes with those organizations, and we're helping all the companies to reduce that spend. The other piece is that you also have the risk of being incorrect licensed, and you get an audit fee. And we see, for example, NASA, they got an Oracle audit for around 20 million US dollars. We're talking really huge amount of money. So you are not able to be incorrect license. Some of these vendors, they're doing yearly audits, and 30 to 40% of their revenue comes from doing audits on their clients. So what we're doing is basically we help all companies inventory all hardware, software, users, and SaaS applications, giving them visibility that this is your software estate and SaaS estate with web applications, and combining that with what they're actually using. So we're kind of unique where we can track how much they are actively using the applications. So with compliance, it's really what it is that you have versus what license you've paid for. But with optimization is what are you using versus what you're paying for. So one thing is just to understand what's installed versus what the license is that you're allowed to have, and the other piece is what is it that you're paying for and what is it what you're using. And we're combining all of these data points, showing the customers here's where you can actually do some optimization and cost saving, reducing the spend.
That sounds fabulous. You know, I do believe that many companies, that actually it's a big headache for them, right? Knowing what they already have, what they need, and what they are using, and having this, you know, in the right kind of proportion, making sure that they are not overspending on licenses, as you mentioned. There's on users that might have access to certain software but not really leveraging it, and all of this leading to huge costs, right? And the huge um, impact on the revenue.
Yeah, usually Gartner forces say that the software spend is somewhere between, depending on which market you are in, but somewhere between 5 to 10% of the total revenue. And this is also something that are increasing. And it's really great to see how we're helping our companies do these kind of cost savings with the innovative solutions that we have, mainly with the active usage, where we can track more in-depth usage of the applications, but also our great software discovery and normalization process, together with SaaS discovery of almost 70,000 SaaS applications. So we are very much ahead of our competitors in that aspect.
Maybe you could share with us some of the case studies, great success, that how you have actually helped your customers, right, optimize their SAM and deliver more value with your solution.
Yeah, of course. So depending on the customer case, almost all companies across the world have Microsoft. So Microsoft, I would say, is the biggest when it comes to at least installed and used software across the world. So we focus a lot on the biggest spend for all of these customers, which is usually Microsoft 365, Windows Server, and SQL Server. And here we're taking out specific reports that we're looking for cost optimization. We've also simplified the installation or compliance work, that we automated it. So we have a lot of customers that moving from one competitor over to our solution, that see that they can spend more time on doing actually cost optimization and looking for cost savings instead of manual work they would had to do in previous solutions. But what we also do is we help a lot of engineering customers. We have a lot of engineering companies. And the benefit that they see is that with our in-depth usage analytics, they can do much more cost savings for engineering and CAD applications. These metrics are a little bit different. We're looking at token-based and concurrent users. And we have a lockup effect. So if you start an application today, like this application we're running right now is a web-based applications, but these are usually on-premise applications, and they consume a token for every hour that this is running. So if you start an application and if you don't turn it off, tomorrow when you just open your computer, that's going to consume tokens again. And here we have a difference where we can see all the applications that's running in the background and how much they've used it actively. And we can provide them with a report for cost optimization. Looking into our platform, all customers can always do cost savings because everyone is overspending. That's how the software vendors has built their business model. You will always be overspending. So usually we find cost savings a couple of 100%. And we also had this bold statement that if you don't find cost savings of 200% within 90 days after your full deployment, you get your money back.
Wow.
So we really know that we can help everyone.
That's fascinating. And that's a great kind of slogan that you have, right? You can get your money back unless you find a lot of value in the product that you have recently deployed. Yeah, that sounds really motivating and inspiring. You mentioned AI component to your solution. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more. We can see that AI is a huge trend on the market. Many companies are trying to leverage it. Tell us, how specifically do you use it to maybe process a huge amounts of data that you're dealing with on the customer side?
Yeah, I think maybe first we need to understand all the data that we actually gather. So for a customer, we have all of the hardware data, we have all of the software data, we have all of their SaaS application data and usage data combined with that. So what we're focusing on is, again, pay for what you're using. So we're having very in-depth analyses of the software usage. So we take all of the applications that they are using. We look at individual usage, comparing that to group usage. So let's say that we have 100 people using one applications, and the average time is X amount of minutes. Then we can see the deviations from that. So we have 1 or 5 or 10 users who's deviating from these numbers, where we can apply cost savings then. So that's where we are looking at one piece of the cost savings element. The other piece is the challenge. Let's say that you're a global company with 30 to 40,000 computers and users across your globe. It's very hard to find all of the software and where you can do software spending because it costs such amount of data. Let's say in average that you have 40,000 users and every user has around 25 to 35 applications. That becomes such a huge amount of data. So we're talking about sometimes you're not able to see the forest because of all the trees. So what we're developing now is an in-house chatbot where you can ask, where do I have cost savings? Please give me recommendations on what applications or vendors I can do cost savings on, or do I have any compliance risk? So one of the unique pieces that is in our normalization process, when we take all of this raw data and create software normalization on it, is that we also add a lot of metadata, such as if this requires a license or not, and also the pricing. And with the pricing pieces, we can help them navigate where do you get the most bang for the buck, like where's the highest ROI, and then the time of value or time to value becomes much shorter because we can say prioritize these applications, you have a much higher risk or a much higher potential cost savings. So we're training our AI to all of this, and that's because we have more metadata points than our competitors. We have more usage, more pricing, and that gives us an edge where we can then control this, we also have more discovery of applications that also gives us an edge when it comes to helping all our customers improving on this, both compliance and cost savings aspect.
My question is, let's say there is a company that is really struggling with their software asset management. How would you recommend them approach the implementation of this kind of solution? Where do they start?
Yeah, yeah, great question. We see this a lot. So when we started the company, software asset management is very, very complex. The software vendors doesn't want you to be compliant. Then they would have had much simpler license metrics. So they want you to be in compliant. That creates it very complex. So one of our main goal is to simplify software asset management. And we looked at three aspects of it. So one was our own business model. It cannot be complex to purchase our solution if we want to help simplify it. The second part is actually the implementation. This cannot take 6 to 12 to 18 or 24 months as it does with our competitors. We want this to be done in maximum 90 days. So it's a complete SaaS solution, which means that there's no configuration, no designing of the solution. You mainly install our small component that does the discovery part, and that's 90% of your deployment. So we've helped companies anything from 40 to more than 100,000 endpoints to deploy this more quicker than from 90 days to maximum 6 months. Well, 6 months, then we're talking about really global organization with more than 100,000 endpoints. The complexity there is that they're working with so many different outsourcing partners and technology that they can't do it faster. But we've deployed to global companies with 30, 40,000 within a couple of weeks, because that's where we're focusing on. So the key aspect of this is we need to have discovery, and that's where we have our small discovery software. So the end user just install this, and they do this with Intune, SSCM, or any kind of deployment tool they have in-house. They can even use the Active Directory, and that only takes maximum between a couple of days to maximum a couple of weeks. And then we have included training. We can even do certification for them, and that's majority of the implementation. Then it's more starting on working on the harvesters. So what we wanted to get away from was we don't want the end user either to pay for a consultant that keeps the lights on or spending time, in-house time, on keeping the lights on. Xensam is responsible to always keep the lights on. Your job is to work with the harvesting and using the data that we're providing you with.
That's very interesting. And so the implementation, you say, is easy. It's something that you made try to make painless, right, for the customers, and it can be done within a very short period of time, which also is a huge benefit comparing to the competitors that are also working on the same market as you are. Okay, that's very interesting. And can you tell us what are the key concepts and skills for using? So you mentioned that you can do some training. So do you need to have a dedicated team on board? How is that done from that perspective? So once somebody chooses to use you, what additional resources do they need to use?
Yeah. So as I said, the software asset management is a huge amount of data. So you still need someone to understand the data. There's still complexity with software licensing. So even if we can show you that you are compliant and incompliant, you need to make some kind of decision. Shall we uninstall this, or do we need to purchase more licenses? So we need someone to understand the data. And in some cases, the complexity, even though that we simplify it, there's still some part of the complexity that you might need some expert for Oracle, IBM, VMware, because even if we can show you the actual numbers, they're not always that easy to understand because the complexity of license metrics and compliance. So that's why we are partnering up with partners across the world that have these kind of expertise. So as in-house, you usually have 1 to a couple of people in your SAM team that do this kind of day-to-day work. And then they might utilize a partner to get extra expertise for specific vendors, or if they want to drive a project, we also work where they outsource the entire piece to a partner, which is called a managed SAM service, where they take responsibility to work on all the data that we're providing them with.
Yeah, I got this. So, yeah, that's very interesting. That in terms of a large organization, as you mentioned, that can be a very complicated process that doesn't have to look that
No.
complex, right? It can be simplified and also at the same time bring a lot of benefits to organization. How do you see that industry that you're operating in evolve in the future? How do you see the companies, what new technology will be introduced to deliver even more value and benefits to your customers?
Yeah, well, AI will be a part of it. So we have both the benefit and the challenge with AI. The challenge is that currently, with the current existing solution, if we take ChatGPT, if you use ChatGPT, you're giving away all of your data, right? It's going to OpenAI, that's also going to Microsoft Azure. And AI is really good that it utilizes all the data that you're giving to them to train, to become smarter and better, and reuse that when someone else asks the question. But there's also a problem with that. If you're working with sensitive data or legal data, if you're giving that away, you're giving that to someone else. It's not in your control anymore. So that's one of the I think of the challenges that we're going to see. Compliance is going to change. It's going to look at more, where are you giving away your data? Right now we have a compliance situation where you get an audit fee, but we're going to have more of a security challenge moving forward, where you need to know who is using what application and what data did they actually give away, and how can you actually secure your own data. So I think that's one of the pieces. The other big trend that we are seeing right now is everything is moving to SaaS applications. So we've been on SAM has mainly been software asset management, where you have an install applications that has been an install license metrics, and this is changing now to user-based license metrics. So compliance is not as big as of a hazard, but the cost is increasing really rapidly, and you don't own the data anymore. You put this up in a cloud solution, and they own the data. So we see that they're working much more with lock-in effects, building up cost and then increasing the cost every year with the price increase and license suites. So here's where we're going to see the kind of big changes, and then we're going to see how AI is going to to change all of this, when all organizations today are trying to incorporate AI. So I think we're going to see much more optimization, and people are selecting fewer vendors, but they're going to be more pricey probably.
So, how big is Xensam as of now?
So we are closing in to being 100 employees. So we've grown really fast from when I started, when we were only 5 people. So the last year we're doubling up basically on every front, not just from a revenue perspective, but also from an employee perspective. We have our 3 main offices are in Sweden, UK, and US. And we're building out now. So we're looking into strategic new markets to grow even further. I think for one of the reasons that we've been so successful is very much closely related to our culture. So even though that we grow, one of the key challenges and opportunities for us is to maintain this culture. So we work really, really hard on having this culture. So when you be part of Xensam, you embrace the culture, and we try to hire people that we see as a good fit for our culture. So we want to continue being this innovative, fast-moving company that keeps the same kind of culture. We have no intention of changing the kind of culture where we are. We see us as being very disruptive, and one of our core competences that we are looking for in people is to continue this kind of culture that we have, and we want them to be brave and be a little bit different to stand out.
So you have mentioned a very specific thing about looking whether there is a fit for people who you hire, if there is a fit for your specific culture, right? Company culture. So what type of people? So you mentioned being innovative, being maybe I know tech driven. What other things you are looking at when you are hiring new employees?
Self-motivated people that want to be part of a fast-moving organization, uh, doers, people that not afraid to take action, do what they believe is best. We don't believe in micromanagement. We want to have the best talents come and join us, and they come with already expertise. We just want to help them get the best kind of environment where they can grow. So we want to be a place where everyone is welcome. We work hard. We have a lot of fun. We also do like a one yearly big travel together. This year we're going to Marrakesh for the entire organization. Doesn't matter if you're based in Sweden or UK or US or anywhere else in the world. We go on this. Last year we were in South Africa. So it's very much having fun together and growing this company to something that we will believe is going to be really, really big.
It's a huge benefit of working in a startup company that is growing fast. The culture might change, but I believe those people who
Yeah,
have joined you early, they are still able to enjoy this kind of fast pace organization. And these, as you mentioned, these trips that you organize for the entire company, they actually bring a lot of benefit being part of the team building, right? Also aligning your goals with the goals of the organization. That sounds
yeah,
so much fun. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It should be fun. I mean, you spend so much time on your work and um, being motivated. We want to appreciate that, and since we're so successful, we're sharing this kind of great journey. Everyone is involved. So yeah, it's really something that we're gonna keep doing.
that's a great note to end on. Alex, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your insights. I believe our audience will really enjoy the insights that you have shared with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you. It's
Thank you
been a
for
pleasure.
having me.